You were taught to fear your desires, to shrink away from that wild, unspoken part of you. The part that watches aches, longs to touch and be touched. Not out of lust alone, but out of the hunger to be seen, truly, deeply. They call it toxic. They shame the masculine drive. But what they never told you is this: repression breeds distortion. What you shove into the dark doesn't disappear. It mutates. It becomes addiction, shame, rage, or numbness. You chase bodies but feel nothing. You chase connection but sabotage it. And you wonder, what's wrong with me? Nothing. You are not broken, but you are split. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the parts of yourself you refuse to look at. And your sexual shadow, that's the most powerful and most dangerous of them all. This isn't about being more alpha. It's not about pickup lines or dating hacks. It's about becoming whole, facing the part of you that's scared, rejected, and hiding behind arrogance, performance, or silence. Because here's the secret: the women you chase, they don't need your perfection. They crave your presence. But you can't offer presence until you've met your own depths. If you dare, this video will take you there, to the part of your soul you've been avoiding, to the truth hiding beneath your shame, your pride, your silence, to the sexual shadow and the power that lives inside it. You were told to be good, to be polite, to be controlled. You learned early that your desires, especially your sexual urges, were dangerous. You were shamed for looking, mocked for wanting, taught that wanting a woman too much made you creepy, pervy, or weak. So you did what millions of men do. You buried it, you shoved it into the unconscious, into the place Jung called the shadow, the psychic basement where everything unacceptable goes to rot. And it did rot. That natural, primal force inside you didn't vanish. It turned into compulsion. It turned into neediness, or numbness, or rage. You started chasing women not to connect, but to conquer, not to feel, but to avoid feeling. You turned to porn, to fantasy, to surface-level validation. And you wondered why it never satisfied you, why it left you emptier than before. This is what happens when you repress desire. It doesn't become holiness, it becomes havoc. Repression is not the same as mastery. Mastery is the ability to feel your full desire without being ruled by it. But repression, that's cutting yourself in half. It's pretending the animal in you doesn't exist while it devours you from the inside. You cannot kill this part of you. You can only bring it into the light, and that begins with honesty. Can you look at your desires without shame? Can you admit to yourself that you ache not just for sex, but for connection, approval, power, touch, surrender? Because only when you name it can you begin to integrate it. And only through integration can you transform your desire into something sacred, something conscious. You were never meant to be a hollow man chasing shadows in silence. You were born to carry the flame of your masculine life force, with integrity, with presence, with wholeness. Desire is not your curse, it's your compass, but until you face it, you'll always feel lost, no matter how many women you get. No matter how much you achieve. This isn't about getting rid of desire. It's about becoming the kind of man who can hold it without collapsing, without manipulating, without hiding. Repression breeds chaos, but awareness births power. What if I told you that the darkest parts of your sexuality are not evil, they're just exiled? Your sexual shadow, the fantasies you hide, the urges you silence, the cravings you judge, was never meant to be your enemy. It became one because you were told it was too much, too intense, too shameful, too dangerous. So what did you do? You locked it away, you disowned it, You built a false self to be accepted by others, while the real you, raw, complex, emotionally hungry, was banished to the unconscious. Jung taught that the shadow holds all that we reject in ourselves, but he also said, the shadow is 90% pure gold. That means your shame, your fantasies, even your compulsions. They hold power, not because you should act on every impulse, but because every impulse is trying to tell you something. Your sexual shadow doesn't want control. It wants a conversation. Maybe the craving isn't about domination. Maybe it's a cry for closeness. Maybe the urge to chase isn't about lust. It's about the little boy in you who never felt chosen. But when you exile these parts of yourself, you strip your masculinity of its emotional depth. You become hollow, performative, a man pretending to be confident while feeling disconnected inside. The goal isn't to act out the shadow. It's to integrate it, to look at your fantasies and ask, what do you need from me? To feel your desires and respond with understanding, not judgment. Because here's the paradox. The more you suppress, the more it controls you. But the more you accept, the more you reclaim your power. You do not become a monster by facing your darkness. You become a monster by denying it. The sexual shadow isn't some demonic force. It's the wounded messenger of your unmet needs, your unspoken truths, your unlived life. You cannot be whole by cutting yourself in half. To become a mature man, grounded, radiant, magnetic, you must reclaim what you've rejected, and that starts by seeing your shadow not as something to fix, but as something to welcome home. Only then can your desire become sacred. Only then can you stop performing love and start living it. Every time you walk into a room, you put on your armor, you smile just right, you speak with precision, you posture your voice, your jaw, your confidence like a brand. New suit. You've learned how to perform, to say the things that get her attention, to move with the illusion of certainty, even when you're crumbling inside. And on the surface, it works. She might flirt, she might laugh, you might even take her home, but deep down, something is always missing. Because what you've built isn't intimacy, it's a performance. And performances, no matter how flawless, are lonely. This is the trap of the high-value man who never healed. You climb the ladder of success. You build your body, your bank account, your ambition. But the one thing you leave behind is the one thing she longs for most, your truth. You can't connect while hiding behind a character. Because when you show up as the man you think she wants, you're not loved, you're approved of, and the moment you slip, the mask falls and the shame rushes in. Here's what no one tells you. Connection isn't built on control. It's built on courage. The courage to be messy, to be confused, to be afraid and still stay open. When you perform, you abandon your presence. You become two people, the one she sees and the one you actually are. And that split creates anxiety. It creates mistrust, because women are emotional barometers. They don't just hear your words. They feel your incongruence. She doesn't want your perfection. She wants your realness. Yes, she's drawn to strength. But strength isn't how well you hide your pain. It's how boldly you own it. So the question is this. Can you stop performing long enough to be seen? Can you show her not just your edge, but your essence? Because when you drop the act, something miraculous happens. She drops hers too, and what's left is intimacy. Raw, unscripted, alive. You weren't born to be a product. You were born to be a presence. Stop performing. Start connecting. That's where love begins. Before you ever had a first kiss, before you ever touched another body, your relationship with sex was already being shaped. In silence, in secrecy, in shame. Maybe you grew up in a home where sex was never talked about, or if it was, it came with warnings, fear, and judgment. Dirty, sinful, wrong. Maybe you got caught touching yourself and were scolded, or laughed at, or ignored. In those moments, something sacred inside you fractured. Your curiosity didn't disappear. It retreated into the shadows. You learned, I must hide this part of me to be loved, to be safe. That's not just a memory, it's a psychic scar. And that scar is still shaping your sex life today. You think you're just nervous with women. You think you're afraid of rejection. But the real fear is older, deeper. It's the little boy in you who still believes, if I'm seen, I'll be shamed. If I want too much, I'll be punished. So you hold back. You disconnect. Or you overcompensate, trying to prove you're a man by chasing more women, more approval, more conquests. But it never heals you, because performance can't undo shame. Only presence can. Carl Jung taught us that the unconscious is not just the place of mystery. It's the place where your unhealed child still lives. And until you turn inward and face that boy, you'll keep sabotaging your adult relationships. You'll ghost the girl who actually sees you. You'll crave the chase but panic when real closeness shows up. You'll seek pleasure while avoiding vulnerability, because vulnerability feels like danger. But here's the truth. Your sexuality isn't shameful. It's sacred. It's the fire of life moving through you. To reclaim it, you must go back not to relive the past, but to rewrite your relationship with it. Can you look at that younger you, the scared, curious, innocent you, and say, you were never wrong for feeling. You were never broken. That's where healing begins. Not in the bedroom, but in the memory, in the mirror, in the choice to bring compassion to the very part of you you've been running from. Because when you heal the shame, you free the man. You were told to be the man, to lead, to take control, to dominate, and somewhere along the way, domination became confused with depth. You believed that if you looked strong, spoke assertively, and made the decisions, she would feel safe, desired, loved. But here's the truth most men miss. The feminine doesn't surrender to control. She surrenders to presence, and presence can't be faked. You can memorize the lines. You can use the perfect eye contact, the confident body language, the textbook seduction. But if you're disconnected from your emotional core, she feels it. Because women don't connect through performance. They connect through feeling, and she can't feel you if you've numbed yourself out with porn, pride, or pressure to be alpha. She wants your power, yes, but not the kind of power that crushes her spirit. She longs for the kind of power that anchors her storm. Not a man who commands her, but a man who can hold her joy, her chaos, her vulnerability. But you can't hold her if you can't hold yourself. If you flinch every time emotion rises, if you withdraw when you feel small, if you chase control because you fear losing it, she will sense that and slowly pull away. Not because she doesn't love you, but because she doesn't feel safe with your soul. Carl Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. To transform her, you must first transform yourself. Dive into your own emotional ocean. Confront your wounds. Touch your fears, not to be less masculine, but to become more whole. Because when you bring depth to the relationship, something miraculous happens. She softens. She blooms, she trusts, and not just with her body, but with her heart. So remember this, you don't need to overpower her. You need to meet her fully, nakedly, emotionally, to look her in the eyes and say, you can bring all of you. I won't run. That's not domination. That's devotion, and that is where real attraction begins. You've been chasing the wrong prize. Every date, every message, every encounter subtly wrapped in one question. Did I win her? You treat connection like a competition. A battlefield where confidence is weaponized, charm is ammunition, and vulnerability is a fatal flaw. You think if you say the right things, project the right image, master the right moves, she'll choose you. She'll stay. She'll finally prove that you're enough. But here's the truth most men never hear. You don't need to win her. You need to find yourself. Carl Jung taught that life's journey is not toward success, but individuation, a return to wholeness, a healing of the fragmented self. Most men are split in two. There's the outer man, driven, polished, performative. And there's the inner man, confused, hungry, lost in the noise of trying to be enough. And as long as you're disconnected from that inner man, you'll mistake validation for love, attraction for worth, winning for healing. But even if you get her, you won't feel whole, because no woman, no matter how beautiful, feminine, or perfect, can fill the void created by your own disconnection. You must go inward. You must ask, who am I without her attention? Who am I when no one is watching? Am I chasing love or running from myself? True masculine power isn't in getting the girl. It's in becoming the man who no longer needs to be chosen, because he's already chosen himself. It's in finding peace without performance, purpose without applause, wholeness without conquest. When you stop chasing women to fix your emptiness, you start attracting women who reflect your fullness. She doesn't want to be your trophy. She wants to be your mirror, and she can only mirror what you've owned in yourself. Your depth, your darkness, your direction. So let go of the game. Let go of the script. Let go of the belief that you must win her to matter. You matter because you exist. You're worthy because you're whole. And when you truly find you, love doesn't feel like victory. It feels like coming home.